Good morning. Welcome to the Meet the Artist program presented by City of Thousand Oaks and New West Symphony. I'm here today with our music director, Marcelo Lehninger. Marcelo, we haven't seen you for a couple of months, so where have you been and where are you going in your travels?
Well, it's been really exciting lately. Recently I went to Europe. I did my Berlin debut, conducting the Berlin Philharmonie, which is an amazing hall. And I visited Canada twice. I went to Toronto and Calgary, Seattle, Florida. I mean, I've been around, and it's been wonderful to make music with different groups, and now be back home with the West Symphony. It's going to be a really exciting program. I'm so happy. And really thrilled, not only because of the combination of all the pieces in the program, which really makes a very interesting, colorful, and wonderful program, and of course, extra excited because I'm bringing the music of my country and wonderful soloists of my country and presenting for the first time with New West Symphony music of Villa-Lobos. So this is a really special moment, and I know it will be a wonderful concert.
Well, thank you. And I know that next week you're going to Chicago. Can you tell us a little bit more about that engagement? Because I am personally so proud that Marcelo will be conducting Chicago Symphony next week.
Next week I'm visiting Chicago. I'm really, really excited too. And I'm going to replace Maestro Pierre Boulez, which unfortunately was not able to conduct the orchestra that particular week. And so I'm really excited to go there and conduct that wonderful orchestra, one of the top orchestras in the world, for the first time. So this is.
Are you nervous?
I'm not necessarily nervous, but I am apprehensive. And of course, given the program especially, it's a really hard program with some pieces that I never conducted before. Including Stravinsky's Symphony in 3 movements, which is a really hard piece. So it just adds a little bit that level of stress because you're doing such a demanding repertoire, but it's such a wonderful orchestra that I know I'm going to trust them 100%. They'll be supportive, and I'm just going to go there and make beautiful music. So, but I'm really excited. I'm really excited.
Excellent, excellent. I know when Marcelo walked in on stage during the first rehearsal, everybody started clapping. They were happy to see you back. Can you tell us a little bit more about preparation for this upcoming concert? Because the orchestra hasn't played this piece before that we're presenting, Villa-Lobos Mama Precoce. How is it to conduct the piece and prepare the orchestra in such a difficult program?
I think also always there is a difference when you're performing with an orchestra piece that they know and they played many times in the past, or if you're doing something completely new. And of course, especially being a new language for them, which is Villa-Lobos, which they never played a music with that magnitude. And so it's a little bit more challenging, and because you need to not only read the notes and balance and put the rhythm right, but also you need to tell them about the language and about the traditions and about what that music is about in Brazilian culture. So, but also I have to tell you, they were so committed, they were so into it, they're having great fun, especially the percussion section, which is huge. But they're having great fun. And they were really excited to play something that they never played before, and to play Brazilian music with me. I think they're having a great time.
It's a very authentic experience. I saw Marcelo dancing on the podium a little bit, and I wanted to ask you, does it bring back any memories from the childhood?
All the time. And every single moment of the piece, I remember my childhood, not only when the piece is about children, Carnival in Rio. So I'm really familiar with that. And
did you participate?
I did. I went to the parades on the streets, and I had a costume And I remember I had the same costume for 3 years. I keep asking my grandmother to give me a new one. She said, I have too many grandchildren, so I can buy everyone a new costume, so you need to stay with your own. Finally, I grew up out of it, so I need a new one. But it's such a, despite of what you see in TV of real Carnival is, it can be really family oriented, and you can go on the street parades, and you have children playing percussion instruments and dancing and going on the parades. So it's a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I did that when I was a child, but not only that, because even though there's that element in the piece, there are many more things in Villa-Lobos music. You have native Brazilian Indians, culture and folk songs and all that. I mean, there are moments in the piece, tunes in the piece that I remember my grandmother singing for me. Oh, and that brings me back to that, when I was 6 or 5 or whatever. And it's, I remember studying the piece and learning the pieces. Sometimes I had tears in my eyes. It's very emotional for me to do that piece.
Fantastic. So I'm so glad that the memories bring back the dancing, on the podium. So I'm sure the audience will be looking forward to see you dance on the podium a little bit and having a carnival feeling. I know that the musicians and the guest artists are so excited. So without further ado, I'd like to bring a well-known pianist, somebody who is known as an interpreter of Villa-Lobos music, Brazilian pianist Cristina Ortiz. Cristina, could you please join us? Cristina, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Cristina flew from Los Angeles, and yesterday she had the first rehearsal with the orchestra, and we're so honored to have her here in Thousand Oaks with us today. And she is going to perform in Oxnard on Friday, Oxnard Performing Arts Center, Saturday in Thousand Oaks Civic Arts Plaza here, and on Sunday at Barnum Hall in Santa Monica. So for those of you who are watching us, please check our website for our schedule. It's www.newwestsymphony.org. Cristina, can you tell us a little bit more about yesterday's rehearsal? Because you came and for the first time you are collaborating with Marcelo and the orchestra. Any first impression?
Yeah, it's always a great challenge. A great challenge to can you hear too much? to face an orchestra for the first time, and have not worked with Marcelo ever, although I knew his mother and I knew him before he was born. I was looking very much forward to being here. It's a very difficult work to put together. It must sound so simple, but it's so complex for an orchestra who has no idea what they're playing through. So we have to balance out all the details and then hide them. And then you bring out just the melodies and the soloist instrument to go together with a very small piano part for children. Everything has to be scaled down, so it's great fun. It's part of our childhood anyway, all of these little themes.
Well, I want to know a little bit more about your connection with with Sonia Goulart, who is going to be our soloist for the last concert of the season in April. And Marcelo, you said you knew him before he was born.
Yeah, because I met Sonia when I was 14 years old. She's a little bit older than me, but not much. But and we both lived in Rio. I wasn't, so close to Sonia, much closer when I go and see her performing and so on. But, so, when he came along and I heard he was a conductor, I almost sort of envied her because I have 2 daughters and they can't stand music. So I missed out on having a male child, and maybe, it could have been a girl, but they're not into music, so it's like playing with my son.
Oh,
and it's
fantastic.
really interesting. They actually, both Christina and my mom, they're born in Bahia.
Yeah, we both come from the same state, in the northeast of Brazil.
Yes.
Yeah, of Salvador, very, very full of flavor, and and what do you mean, condiments? Condiments and flavors from Africa and all of the start of Brazil. That's where we started. Brazil, the first capital of Brazil was Salvador, where I was born, and Sonia was born. You were born in Rio, right?
I'm born in Rio, yeah.
And I moved to Rio when I was 5 months old. I moved. I was taken to Rio when I was 5 months old. So Bahia has the best of Brazil. In Sonia and me. But then we have to go through Villa-Lobos to make you understand what Brazil is about. Yeah?
Well, can you tell us a little bit more about the Carnival itself and how the music of Villa-Lobos reflects the Carnival, the children's Carnival?
Well, it's just, you know, Momo is the king of Carnival. It's a figure of, he's dressed up, usually he's quite a big fat man, you know, with a crown, who in the old days used to start the Carnival, you know, like we declare the Carnival open, kind of Olympic Games thing, you know. And Momo Precoce means the little, a precocious Momo. And that's what it's all about. So the king comes and, you know, it starts these little people dressed up as different characters. And there's a little horse, a little horse. The first, first tune is called the Little Horse of the Pierrot, isn't it? Jeanette of the Pierrot. And then the other one comes with his shining shakers and noisy thing, but everything does scale down to children's sizes, you know. So it's an incredibly large orchestration, as I said, to dilute it down to just kind of thing, and which just makes you want to dance, you know. So.
Marcelo told me that there is a special connection between you and the piece that the Carnival was written for, Mama Precoce was written for.
Exactly.
Marcelo.
It was, this piece was dedicated to wonderful Brazilian French pianist, Magda Tagliaferro. And actually, the first recording of the piece, it was Villa-Lobos himself conducting, and Magdalena was the soloist.
Really? No, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
I thought I heard her play it with the Munch.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I have the recording, and Villa-Lobos conducting, and,
Yes.
And she was the soloist. And I think that was the only recording before Christina record, which is. And she has a beautiful recording with Philharmonia Orchestra in London.
New Philharmonia, yeah.
And Maestro Ashkenazi. And so the piece was dedicated to Ms. Tagliaferro, and Christina, of course, has a connection with her.
Yes, I got a prize in Brazil national competition when I was 15, and I had to choose who I was going to work with, and I had just met Magdalena. Donna Madalena, in Brazil, in some courses. She was doing master classes. And so, of course, when I got the scholarship for Paris, I didn't know anybody. I was 15, and I was going to Europe for the first time, and I chose to go to Tagliaferro's school. She had a school called Académie Internationale de Piano. And so I went to work with her for 3.5 years, and I was in Paris, and I absorbed as much of her colorful, incredible personality, red hair like this, and a figure of a wasp kind of thing, and a low cut down here, and makeup, really amazing person, and very well read. She had a father Italian, Tagliaferro, and her mother was French. So, and she was born in Petrópolis, which is the imperial town outside Rio in the mountains. And so it's a great mixture and of color. And she did justice to our culture, and then she acquired all the raffinement of the French culture, and then with the Italian as well. You know, she was an amazing personality, really wonderful. I had a fantastic 3.5 years and with her, learning, absorbing Brazilian music, French music, and Spanish music. It was fantastic. So, and I was
thank you for sharing.
I was like a sponge, of course. So I think I learned a lot from her.
That's
so
wonderful.
You were 15 when you
I was
won
15
national
when I went,
competition.
and I went to Paris, and I stayed in Paris before I came to America to study at Kirsch's Institute with Rudolf Serkin. So good mixture.
Speaking of competitions, you know that it's about a year since Van Cliburn died, and Christina was the first woman gold medalist of Van Cliburn competition. It's a very special.
It still makes the day, doesn't it?
It's a very special honor to have you here. What are your memories of those years when you were performing and won the competition?
Well, it was almost the year after, the year I arrived in Rio, back from Europe for 3.5 years, and I arrived and I had done almost nothing but learn French and music and piano, and I was really a bit tired, I thought, of piano playing. And as I arrived down in Rio from the ship, we took a ship, my parents were with me, I was very lucky, I had my parents with me, and I had 2 of my 5 brothers with me, good preparation for life, you know, for career, having to fight 5 boys. Survival. Anyway, as I arrived in Rio, there was somebody who used to distribute pamphlets, you know, and she was a person who worked for the Cliburn, and so she gave me this prospectus of Van Cliburn. I sort of quickly passed it on to my mother, said, you take this. 3 months later, I was bored to death in Rio, not doing very much. You know, when you leave Paris, and then you go home, and then back to Andaraí, in the middle of nowhere in Rio. Where is that prospectus? And I almost missed the deadline. And the repertoire, the requirement of that repertoire was ridiculously large. But very, very soon I got down to work, and I decided to enter the Cliburn competition. Just for fun. I had never been to the States, and I said, well, sportively, you know, at least I will and see the States. So I went, and I was sort of 19, going on 10, up here, you know, just really so naive, it's ridiculous. And then I played Brahms' first piano concerto in the final at about midnight in September 69, whatever it was, and I won. I don't know why, but very, very few contestants that year because the repertoire was really huge, and people were dropping sick. It's true, 4 people just gave up, you know, performing because if I had to play through the first round, I would be playing like 3.5 hours. Sonata, Beethoven, Mozart, Etude Symphonique was confrontation. I mean, you know, there were 4 compulsory pieces. Plus Bach Italiano, Concerto Italiano. I mean, it's ridiculous. And they would stop us. You know, these days, these guys come and they have to perform the whole piece. Now, we had to learn 4 hours of music for the first round and then be ready for the bell to go. Now, go on to the Liszt studies. Okay. Enough. Okay, the first movement of, you know, Mozart Sonata. Okay, so it was like, you were told, you did what you were told, you know. No qualms about having to do what you're told to do. It's changed, hasn't it? Now they perform 3-4 recitals for an hour and go on. And it was more than an hour, but the repertoire was like cut, you know, in pieces.
We're very fortunate to have a connection here in Thousand Oaks as well with Van Cliburn competition. One of our discovery artists, pianist, Sean Chan, won the 3rd place in the competition last year. So we're very excited about that connection as well. But you shared yesterday with me that there was only one other woman who won a gold medal. It was Olga Kern. So throughout all these years,
only one.
Christina remains the first. It's always going to be that big title.
You always talk about that. I used to say, it doesn't matter anymore, but I used to say the first question that the guy would come, you know, the interpreter or whatever, sorry, the interviewer would say, oh, you're the first woman. I said, so what?
That's a very good question.
I mean, you know, why does the Cliburn have to announce there are only 2 women or one? It doesn't matter to me. We are all in the same boat. We play, we try our best, we work our heads off.
How did your life change after that competition?
Well, it changed, not because of the Cliburn, but because I went on and I went to live in Europe and so on, not because of the Cliburn, I'm sorry to say, because I didn't stay in America. I never felt very comfortable in America. I always had this thing of the mecca of the music world was Paris, and now I live in London for the last 40 years. So, you know, I'm European-based, and I come to America. I'm here due to Marcelo's invitation. I'm glad for that anyway.
That's nice.
We're so
Thank you.
fortunate to have you. And I know that education has been a big part of your life recently. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do for young pianists and chamber music and competitions?
I don't do that much. I'm not very organized. I'm not a very organized person. I don't like to organize anything, and I'm not good at talking about, you know, getting money, funds, and so I really don't do anything. I just bring people to, I have a house near Bordeaux, and I have decided to busy myself in summer and have 10 days of a course, atelier, you know, or workshop or whatever, and they come to me and we have great fun because it's like, I have nobody to help, we all cook together, it's like a campus kind of thing, you know. And I'm in the piano, I'm teaching 10 hours a day, so hello guys, we're going to make lunch together, come on. Okay, you're through, you go and prepare the table, you know, and I finish here. And it's such fun, it's really great fun, because I really enjoy passing the little bit I know and the experience I've had through to the younger generation. I mean, you know, I think they can learn a lot from experience, if nothing else. And so I enjoy teaching, but I'm not part of any conservatory or anything. I like to be a free bird.
Free bird, free spirit. It's kind of like a carnival. You dance for your
I
own
dance
tune,
if I want to dance, and I don't dance if I don't want to dance. That's me.
Fantastic. Well, Marcelo, I wanted to cover in the time that we have the rest of the program that we have for this upcoming concert. Can you talk a little bit more about the other two pieces?
Well, the program, actually, there's two things about all the pieces in the program. One is they're all written for piano solo and later orchestrated. So we have Ma Mère Loire, which is the Mother Goose, and which was a piece that Ravel wrote for children as well. And he wrote for the children of a very close friend. And they make 5 children pieces for 4 hands. And then later, Ravel orchestrated. And later after that, he did a ballet as well. But it was originally written for piano solo, 4 hands. And then, of course, Villa-Lobos also, he wrote the Children Carnival, which was a piece for piano solo. Yeah. And then later, he orchestrated and he did a version, possible version to do piano and orchestra, which makes very challenging, as Christina says, because, you know, originally it was a piece for piano, and now we add an orchestra. And Villa-Lobos, he was a very passionate man, and he was a genius. I mean, his works it's larger than Beethoven. He wrote so much, but you know, he used to write 5 pieces at the same time, and he had the radio on. He liked soap opera on the radio. And he had children playing. He loved children. He never had his own children, but he loved children. And the wife is cooking and talking, and family. And he never liked a desk. He likes to compose on the floor. He said, if I compose on the desk, things fall on the floor, so I just stay on the floor. And he was composing a piece here, a guitar concerto, and had an idea, and then composed a piano concerto, and another idea, and put in the symphony. So all the music he composed was kind of, you can see that he was just a machine of creativity. But, you know, sometimes because he was writing such a speed and such a passionate way, he writes the orchestra playing fortissimo. And then here we go, we're reading the piece, and especially here, American orchestras, they're so professional. They see a fortissimo, they play fortissimo. And then we have to tell them, play really, really soft, please, as soft as you can. They say, but the piece is written like play as loud as you can. And you ask me to play as soft as you can.
But you know, also, can I say, you know, when he wrote, it was in the 20s, the 30s, whatever, and the instruments were completely different from what they are now. So apparently he was in Paris and he would say, I can't hear the oboe. Okay, triple oboes. So he would add people, and now it's remained like that. So
Yeah.
you know, you should dilute a lot more.
Exactly.
You know, so.
So, which makes challenging balancing, as Christina mentioned, we need to balance all the time and tell the musicians, you know, play soft, bring out the melody. So it's really a very tough learning process.
I just remember something. You know, apparently this Momo Precoce, because I told you I did it with a banda, with a band, symphonic band once, a version, which is the original.
Is that right?
For Momo Precoce, you know why? Apparently there was, I just remember that, there was, the idea was to do a premiere with a pianist. I'm not sure who the pianist was in Brazil. And then there was a strike or something like that, and the orchestra was prevented from playing. Oh. And they had a concert 3 days later, or 2-3 days later. And they said, well, we can get the banda from the army. And so Villa-Lobos comes and has to rewrite for the instruments of a band. And that is the version that was heard the first time. So imagine.
Amazing.
I didn't know.
And then, of course, in the second half of the program, we have pictures at an exhibition, which also was a piece written by piano solo and later orchestrated by many composers. The version I'm doing is Ravel. So we have Ravel in the beginning, and Mussorgsky and Ravel at the end. So all pieces written for piano solo, later orchestrated, and first half talking about children. So all the pieces tied really together, and I think it's a very colorful and beautiful program. I'm really looking forward to play it for you, and the orchestra is enjoying playing as well. So I think we will have a wonderful weekend of concerts.
It's a very balanced program, and it's very, as you said, picturesque, because it has two pieces. They depict the children, kind of a carnival, children playing, children fairy tales, and Ravel especially, the first piece. And the last program, and I wanted to just note, because it was done actually by accident, but when we were looking at the program, I said, it's a Brazilian-Russian program. So for the first time, we're sort of highlighting both of our backgrounds, and we just recently did an event where I asked a number of trivia questions, and one of the questions was, where is the Great Gate of Kiev? And the audience was sort of trying to guess it, and I said, well, actually, it was never built. It's an imaginary gate. So being Russian, I can play these jokes. I cannot do that regarding Villa-Lobos.
But Villa-Lobos, it's really nice that we're doing this piece this week, because we have Carnival is starting very soon in Brazil. So, and here we have some celebration of Mardi Gras in some places. So it's kind of all comes together. All comes together, and very appropriate week to do a carnival piece.
We're bringing Brazilian culture here to Thousand Oaks, and we're so happy to present the well-known artist. We're so privileged to have her here with us, as well as Marcelo, and that combination is going to produce a phenomenal concert. So I hope you tell all your friends about it. So for those of you who are watching us, again, our website is www.newwestsymphony.org. Please join us this weekend. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.